Well, guys, gals, and everything in between, normally when I do these episode discussion reviews, I break down the episode practically scene by scene and say what I like and didn't like, generally speaking. But this time, I am to a degree, but I'm also not, because this episode left me with some really mixed feelings. And it is possible that maybe you all have felt the same after this episode. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of people are going to take that as I hate the episode. I don't hate the episode. I enjoyed the episode, but I have some feelings towards it. When this episode begins, it's fantastic. You see the doctor, he goes home. He goes back to where we presume is his home, and they know who he is, and he's a hero, and it has this western feel, and this ship comes in, and the doctor draws a line in the sand and is like, yeah, bring it. All the crew from the 50th anniversary special shows up, except for that one guy who's also in Broadchurch, and they show up, and who's also there? Rassilon. When they dropped off the fact that Rassilon showed up and he had the gauntlet, and I was sitting there, I was like, it's Rassilon! That's amazing. They just sort of tossed him away, and I didn't like that Rassilon really had no huge purpose in the episode other than he was there to kind of say, hey doctor, we're about to fight, and then boom, gone. But he does tease that he will come back eventually. And, of course, Rassilon's gonna come back eventually. What I have to say, major spoilers ahead, everything on Gallifrey was great until you see Clara dying and time freezes and you see the doctor open a door, and I was like, oh my god, really? I don't like that. I love the dramatic effect of Clara's death. That it hurt, it was traumatic, it was painful. The doctor felt sheer heartbreak and pain, and I really liked that that's how she was sent off, that someone the doctor is so close to, he has no control over. So as this is going on, I'm frustrated, and the doctor takes her into this white room, and then the doctor pulls out a gun, and I was like, okay, I love action movies and all that stuff, that's cool. And I was on the edge of my seat, but at the same time, the back of my head was like, the doctor wouldn't do that. I know that he loves Clara. He doesn't want to admit it, but he's loved Clara. His whole existence that he's known her, he's loved her. And yes, with Rose, and I know that the 10th Doctor held the gun and stuff, but here's the difference is Capaldi's doctor shoots the general, and the general's falls over, and she's like, you killed somebody, and he's like, well, it's like they have the flu. It's still killing somebody. The doctor understands that as a whole, even in other episodes. In Classic Who, when the doctor technically did have the opportunity to kill, he doesn't, with the exception of the Master has been killed a few times. But just in general, like another Gallifreyan, the doctor wouldn't do that, if you ask me. Even though, yes, he loves Clara, which, to bring her out of her own time stream and then to say all that, it undoes everything he did anyway. Time travel is weird. As they're going through the cloister belt, or the cloister room, as they would say, and the doctor's talking about it, and Clara realizes and says, how long has it been? This is where it gets amazing again. And then Moffat talking about, oh, we need a female doctor. I really want a female doctor at some point. That's my really bad Moffat impression, because he kind of talks like this, and I would really like it to happen. And so Moffat is once again teasing it, but apparently every regeneration is politically correct and has to be a woman now. The Master was changed into Missy, which was an amazing plot twist, but then you continuously throw at us the doctor needs to be a woman, Dr. Clara, and now all of a sudden we not only get that, but we get and this is going to sound way worse than it is, we get a Gallifreyan regenerating, and it turns into a black woman, and be like, this is how I was always meant to be. And I was like, are we really just gonna beat this over the head? Like, I get it, he wants a female doctor, but how much more can you beat it over the head until you get us all to just sort of say, okay, fine, you can have your female doctor. Like, I will do that another video for another day, but seriously, I'm getting really tired of it because it's turning almost into like the PC show. I'm not saying not cast multiple ethnicities and that kind of stuff. I'm just saying that I feel like it's so forced on us, if you know what I mean. Like, it's not a race, sex, species thing. It is I'm tired of feeling like he's bashing it over the head with us, and we're in a new age, and we have to continuously bash it at any corner you can do. That's what bothers me. And so I let that push by me, because at first I was like, is that the really annoying lady from Broadchurch Season 2? Nope. Okay. All that goes out the window, and the doctor is talking to Clara, and it's like, how long has it been? And he doesn't want to talk about it, and you can see he's kind of different. She's like, look in my eyes, and it's heartbreaking because you see Clara and you know she's supposed to be dead because she died. And no, and then find out 4 billion years, and you just see her break, that the doctor had to suffer unending torment for essentially 4 billion years. And so it's like, it's heartbreaking, this issue, and you see him doing that, and he gets distracted, or well, Clara distracts them, and the doctor gets away and steals a TARDIS, and that's where I love it again, is that he steals the TARDIS. It's a throwback, and it's the first Doctor's TARDIS, and he's playing with dials, and he's like, it's a retro theme, and I was like, yes. And he's like, okay, so we're escaping the time stream, so your pulse should be back, you should be fine. And Clara's pulse isn't fine, and I love this. And I forgot to mention, they're cutting back and forth between a diner and and one of the things I could think about is if Richard Madden is still dating Jenna Louise Coleman right now, he probably wants that outfit, like, for her to keep it as memorabilia. Because, you know. The doctor's telling the story in Nevada, and he's going on about it, and as they're going through, he's like, your pulse should still be there, and I was like, so are they gonna bring her back, and stuff, and he's at the edge of time, and her pulse still isn't coming back, and then he hears 4 knocks, and he's like, it's always 4 knocks, and I was like, could it be the Master? Could it be another doctor? And then all of a sudden she's like, who is it, doctor? And he goes, me. And then walks away. And I was like, he's got to talk to himself, or maybe himself from the past. That's why David Tennant was spotted nearby the set of Doctor Who and stuff. And I was like, it's happening. And he opens the door, and then it's Maisie Williams. I love Maisie Williams as an actress. She's great. She's wonderful. And I was just really hoping for more. Like, the Master, somebody, something more. And then it's like, oh, you know what it's like to live at the end of the universe kind of thing, Doctor. And he's talking to her, and they're going on, and Clara realizes that he's going to wipe her memory. And she says, I've reversed the polarity of this thing. It's going to wipe one of our memories. And the Doctor pushes it, and it's a heartbreaking scene, and then the doctor's forgetting, and he's like, Clara, don't forget, and he's saying, like, never forget, telling her what made him be the Doctor, essentially. And I love it. And that scene was so heartbreaking, because it was almost like the reverse. You're now having to watch the Doctor die, because he remembers everything except for Clara. So Clara's just like a fabric in his memory, and I love that. It was heartbreaking. And then you're like, but Clara's in the cafe. And then, reasons. Clara's the cafe that Rory and Amy were in, and you see Clara breaking, and you're like, oh, something's up. Doctor's the one with amnesia. Alright, M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong, plot twist. And then it turns out that the diner is her TARDIS, that classic TARDIS that the Doctor stole. And then all of the sudden, Maisie Williams is in there, and she's like, you know what, we're going to go back to Gallifrey where she's supposed to die eventually, but we're going to take the long way around. And she turns the TARDIS on and leaves, essentially hinting that she's now exploring time and space as well. I'm assuming that's to set up Maisie Williams as a character who can recur on the show. But at the same time, I'm like, you had a perfect death with Clara. A perfect death. And it's almost like you're afraid that the audience couldn't handle it, and we were coping. And that last week's episode that I forgot to review, was perfect. But no, we have to have the cutoff where it's like, oh, no, it's reverse Donna Noble syndrome, which Donna Noble's was great, but we don't need to revisit it. So that's where my mixed feelings of this episode came from, is that you feel like they didn't want to give you an actual dramatic ending. The Doctor has his TARDIS back, and it's an emotional scene. It's like, run you clever boy, and he understands, and he's got his new really epic looking sonic screwdriver, and it's just like the goodbye that was there was almost like negated. And we don't even get to see what happens to that character from when Clara died. We don't get any of that. It's like they had a great ending and they could have resolved it on Gallifrey when the Doctor's on a warpath, and it didn't need to involve Clara living, because, you know what? For most of her life, she doesn't need to go back, because that's what they're establishing. So is Clara just going to show up every now and then? I don't know. She's probably not. So in that case, it was a pointless ending. They didn't need to end it that way. And that's what bothers me, is that if she's not coming back, like they say, then there is no point for that ending. They could have had that dramatic, amazing ending that led to Capaldi's biggest performance, and essentially they just botched it, and that's my problem. But yet at the same time, I still loved the episode. Guys, gals, and everything in between, what did you think of the episode? Honestly, guys, after I ranted about that, I still really love the episode. It's just that there's so many issues with it that I felt like Moffat was afraid to give us the hard stuff, if you know what I mean. Have some guts on it, Moffat. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Got plenty more videos coming to you.